It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the City of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Welcome to City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM. I'm Sue O'Brien, and I'm joined today by City Councillor Colleen Smook. Welcome, Colleen. It's the first time we've had you here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, week by week, the city is digging out of the blizzard of 2017 and the heavy snowfall of Wednesday night, and we just can't seem to get rid of it. So, Colleen, maybe I'll just get you to give us an update of what's been happening with our road clearing and snow piling, etc.
Okay, at the city, we've still been working with contractors. The city and contractors been working together. Our city crews have been amazing. Yesterday, we finished off Beaver Crescent. Actually, during the night, we finished off working on Juniper Drive, Westwood. It is starting to round up now, but we got another 4 inches last night, so we're ready to start over again. The citizens of Thompson have been amazing for their patience. I know there's still driveways and mailboxes that people have to dig out, but I think overall, in general, at least we can function now.
And that's just it. I think the problem is, or the thing is at this point, everybody had to do their part, and you can't really expect every little thing to be cleared and shoveled, for you. We actually have to expend a little bit of energy ourselves. So you talked about contractors. Are we having an idea of how much that's going to add to the budget?
Just a rough figure that I have heard thrown around is approximately $100,000.
Yeah, well, considering how much snow we had, that's probably...
With the amount of snow, I think that's...
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. Pretty good deal, actually. I was at the Chamber of Commerce lunch meeting yesterday, and I know you were too. Volker Beckman was there, and he was talking about all the different things that Spirit Way has planned for 2017, and it's a really ambitious list, but it's been going on. I know Volker said at the time, a lot of these things have been in the works for a while, and some of them are just kind of coming to fruition. So how has the city been supporting Spirit Way?
The city's support to Spirit Way, Volker comes and makes presentations to us, and he's actually coming on Monday night to make another presentation. These two conferences that he's got coming up in the fall, the city has made some commitment for dollars for them, and a small donation for the United Kingdom project. Once we hear more about it, who knows where that can go, because it is a very ambitious project. Many already companies on board for it. So I really think now that the Thompson is talking tourism and economic development coming up, with 2020, I think this will just be a great fit for us.
Yeah, it's a real good kickoff point. Definitely, that's for sure, because you'll only going to be getting a lot of people coming to town for these conferences, these wolf conferences, and other conferences to do with our wildlife and our boreal discovery center, etc. So I think it's going to be really good, and I'm excited about it. And it will be interesting to see what comes of their trip to Wolverhampton, England, and London, and we get people coming from overseas.
And I think that's very interesting. I think it'll do us great. I know with my big groups that I get through the campground and that, they're always interested in our wolves and the Spirit Way, and they just love it. And one of the lodges that I expedite for, Nanook Polar Bear Lodge, they're on board with this and have given them a, part of the tour when they can't come over here, accessible to the polar bears and that. So when we get our partners that work out of Thompson, that are starting to realize the benefits of investing in Thompson, I think we can only step up to the plate ourselves.
Exactly. And it's going to be good. And as you said, that was something that leads into my next question with the Thompson 2020 group that's working towards, making the transition from the changes in Valley in 2018 to other, economic development endeavors. So Thompson 2020 had a little forum back in February, and it was aimed at retirees or those who are looking to retire, in the community, and asking what we thought or what they thought about what Thompson had to offer and why we should all stay here. There was also supposed to be other forums coming up after that. Has anything happened with that? Not that I'm aware of.
Personally, we have sort of talked, like after that first forum, we had many suggestions from staff, ourselves, and the public to hold more forums. Let's involve the high school, let's involve other segments of the business community in that. But none of that has happened. We're just in the process of the 2020 group is hiring
Project manager.
the project manager. I think we can be planning what we want him to do in the meantime. So these are all talks that should be happening, because before you know it, 2020 will be here, and we should be on board.
Time flies when you're trying to plan for the future, right? Or having fun, as they say. I know that at the forum, the first one, aimed at the retirees, there was a lot of good information, but really nothing too much that I hadn't already heard before. Like the reasons why people stay here in Thompson. The lifestyle, being close to nature, being close to everything, like your family here in town. The travel times weren't too onerous and that kind of stuff. Was there anything that you remember hearing at that meeting that you thought, this is something that we can really promote and get people to think about staying or coming here?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways, and from people just talking to me that weren't even there, what we need is basically plus 55 housing, market driven, as well as affordable housing. And by affordable housing, I mean like when you have the people that are working in the service industry that are only making minimum wage, even if you have two people in the family working, it's still very hard to pay Thompson market rents right now. So we need to get those folks on board. And also for the people that do want to stay, we definitely need market housing for them, because they're not in line for affordable housing or that. So if we want people to stay, they want to downsize, and we have to be ready for them.
Yeah. And that Lions Manor 55 would be a good fit for it if we can really get that off the ground. I know it's been, a lot of work. Nick DiVirgilio and I know Penny Byer, who's a councillor, is also on that committee. And it's just almost there, and we just need a little kickstart yet.
I think we have to maybe put a little bit more support behind them, because like you say, Penny, Nick, Judy Clatta, that whole group have been working very hard, and every time they think they're to where they've got it, the government throws one more little roadblock, or there's one more thing you have to do in front of them. So we as a city, we do deal with the different ministers, and we just have to make sure we're putting in a good word for them and that it does go ahead. I do believe the project's going ahead. It's just a little bit slow right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that initially they had been looking more about, people in Thompson, but then I had talked with Penny one time and she said, I said, what about the people in the outlying areas? Have we spoken with any of them? And she says, well, actually we had kind of not. So I'm hoping that those folks from the outlying areas will think that this is a great place for them to be too.
And I think that's the thing we here in Thompson have got to be more cognizant of, the outlying areas, and include them. And even when we're going to the government, and we need to bring them with us, so that we are a region. We want to be the hub. I think we should prove that we are.
Yeah, exactly. And so the federal budget was released yesterday, and I don't know if you guys have had any opportunity as the city to talk about what you think of it, or if that's in a plan, if you have any personal takeaways from what came up.
I actually only touched on it a bit personally, just with what the news was saying last night. It could have a definite effect on us up here, and I believe that when we're at City Council Monday, we're going to be making plans to sort of digest it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because there's a lot of little things. A lot of things you talked about. Immediately the alcohol tax and the smoke tax, and like the sin taxes, right? Like they like to call them. But a lot of the other things that they came up with, it's going to be interesting to see how that trickle-down effect, because they talk about this to the province, and then the province trickles it down to the rest of us.
And I think once, combined with this budget, when the province releases theirs April 10th, then we'll get a true feel of how it's going to affect Thompson.
Yeah. Well, looks like there have been lots of cuts coming, so we'll see how that plays out exactly. And the Thompson Urban Aboriginal Strategy has an event called Building Bridges to Reconciliation going on today starting at 4:30. So I don't know if you know much about that or if you're going to be there.
I was actually, tonight I have a meeting at 5, so I'll be at the 6:30 movie part of it. But Dr. Alec Wilson, she's a great speaker. I was at one of her Building Bridge conferences about a year ago. It's a great thing. Everybody in Thompson should go and listen to it. It's very wonderful. 4:30 to 5:30 is the food and conversation at the VRCC. 5:30 to 6:15 is Alex's presentation. And 6:30 to 8:30 is the movie, We Were the Children. And that's at the UCN Aboriginal Center.
All right, okay. And we also have, we'll just wrap up with a couple extra things here. Spring break is coming up this week.
Spring break's coming. My grandkids are coming to town. Not that many of them ever leave, but so at the arena, we're going to be having March 27th to 31st, 9 to 3 p.m., no skating noon to 9 to 3 with lunch hours off. We're going to have skating, and we're going to have shinny from 9 a.m. right through to 3 p.m., and helmets are required.
That's right.
And if you want more information, call the rec center, 204-677-7952.
All right, and one little thing I'll mention that I heard about is that the city transit is down to one bus today, so they're on a Saturday schedule. So everybody want to make sure you remember that. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me, Colleen. It's nice to have you here. And for this edition of City Beat, that's it for us today. I'm Sue O'Brien from 1029 CHTM.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning at